Hey, hi, welcome to Voices of Impact, where we explore the intersection of leadership, innovation, and human connection in the age of AI. So I'm your host, Veena Ramaswamy, executive coach and founder of the Beautifully Empowered Coaching and Consulting. And today we're diving into how technology and inclusion are reshaping the future of leadership in tech. So my guest today is Akanksha Kumari, Senior Product Manager at Amazon, which is great, leading AI innovation across cloud, contact centers, and enterprise networks. She's worked with tech giants like Microsoft, Oracle, and Amazon, building inclusive products, mentoring the next generation of engineers, and designing systems that serve people at scale. So welcome to Voices of Impact. I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you so much, Veena. This is great, and I really can't wait to talk about inclusion, leadership, and how we can take this forward.
Amazing. Awesome. Yeah. So let's get started. I love your journey. I know we connected a couple of, years ago, but it's just really nice seeing your journey. But you worked at some of the biggest names, right? So Microsoft, Oracle. But what really stands out to me is how intentional your journey has been, right? Can you walk us through how you moved from the engineering space to product management and what inspired that shift?
Absolutely, would love to, Veena. So I think my journey has been quite a ride, to say the least. And I started my career in engineering, as you mentioned, and spent time working in Microsoft and Oracle as engineers, and then moved to Amazon as well. Microsoft is where I moved from an engineering role to a product management role. And each role has taught me so much about building robust systems and the power of technology in general. But as I progressed in my software engineering journey, I found myself increasingly drawn to the why behind the what. So I loved solving technical challenges, and I also became fascinated by understanding user needs, market trends, and how products truly impacted people's lives within those software engineering roles, just observing my product managers and how they work. So this curiosity that I had observing the PMs in my teams and around my team really sparked my move into product management. It felt like a natural evolution in general. And this role, the product management role, allows me to combine my technical background with a passion for strategy and user-centric design. And I'm completely aware that there are different kinds of PM roles, but I've always been in very technical product management roles, so I can really leverage my technical strengths there as well.
Right. That's amazing. I love how you said you talked about the why. So I think that was my next question. What was the biggest mindset shift? And you kind of just answered it. But that why, asking, but why do I want that shift? Why is it that we're going from AI technical excellence to the product strategy? Why do I want to do this? What I'm passionate about. Auto is to build inclusive products that delight users, right? So what does that actually look like in practice? And can you share an example where inclusion directly shaped a product decision or an outcome?
Absolutely. I think it's very important to me that inclusive product, the products that we build are inclusive and they also delight users. It is really about intentionally building for everyone and not just like an average users in your user personas. In practice, it can mean a lot of different things. First, it's about really deep empathy, really understanding that diverse needs, backgrounds, and even limitations of all potential users. And it's not just about like accessibility, basically, and doing a study and checking boxes for accessible design, which is important in one way, but it also consider different cultures, languages, and the socioeconomic backgrounds and varying levels of tech savviness between all of the tech personas and people personas from which you're developing. And I think in product development, if I have to think about the process itself and how it directly impacted one of the products that I built, I think is considering one of the facets that the teams that you work with are diverse. And if you kind of don't take their perspectives into account, you will miss likely important use cases or unintentionally create barriers for certain growth. I have seen real life in which a lot of different people in maybe top levels or leadership roles decide the goals and KPIs for a certain product, and then it's not really based on decisions that the all of the team is making together, and those goals fail, for example.
Yeah.
And when you tend to do that, you miss taking all of the perspective into account and really involving that in your product roadmap. So it's
Mhm.
about inclusive research, inclusive design, and inclusive testing as well when you do all of the product development before us. And as a design is not just about features. It's about an experience that the users feel understood and valued. Like one example that comes to my mind immediately for this is that I was working on like a dashboard for observability in my previous role in Microsoft, and there were there were red circles and there were green circles that we used to indicate availability across a time range. And red and green are not really good for contrast. And it was okay for people who are not really dealing with a situation where they can't differentiate between these two colors, and they're not really they don't really know between difference between red and green per se. And there are situations where people have these limitations of how they work. And basically, for those colorblind individuals, we had to kind of consider and see how we can transform that graph into green circles and red crosses. So circles and crosses still make sense, and it's not just differentiated by color. So these small like features which are in design, which can really delight customers with inclusivity. And it just doesn't work for like everyone. It makes everyone feels like it was just made for them.
Right.
So in all, it's about removing any kind of friction, anticipating needs, and creating moments that really genuinely surprise and satisfy for all users.
Yeah. No, I love this. I actually really love what you said about looking at different perspectives because I think in the technical, we get caught up in the details, but it's also like, how do we tie to the bigger outcome of, yeah, like you talked about the different diverse backgrounds or for, changing the colors, right? And then the lines. And it really matters because it's like speaking to them. You're personalizing it to them. And that's just what a product is all about. It speaks to them, right? Like, oh, like she gets me, or like, it's those things where you feel like, you have that perspectives, right? And the deep empathy. So I know some people get caught up in like, yeah, we have the small details of features, but it's more than that. So thank you for sharing a great example. But yeah, well, when it comes to AI, transforming how we approach product design and development, how do you see the role of product managers evolving in this new AI-driven landscape?
Yeah, I think AI has fundamentally changed a lot of working styles for a lot of roles across the industry, and is also shifting the landscape for PMs in general, product managers and DPMs in general as well, and in critical ways, right? I think one of the ways in which I needed to pivot as soon as we had all of this AI wave coming in is to become fluent in AI.
Yeah.
This doesn't mean that you go and write code to develop models and train models, but just understanding the capabilities of AI, the limitations, and the ethical implications of AI models, and not just hurriedly introducing AI into your product. I think that was most important to me. We, like product managers, needed to speak the language of data scientists and engineers even before AI came in. So it became increasingly important to continue speaking that language while making sure that these additional considerations are taken into account when we include AI into the product. And that was the first one. The second focus that I think AI product managers and I am seeing in this industry is human collaboration. And it doesn't mean not just like including AI into your product, but you have to build with fully autonomous AI and more about designing intelligent systems which can augment human capabilities. So AI is really your like sidekick, and you can still be the superhero, but AI is your sidekick where you're more responsible for defining what humans can do best, like make really high level creative ideas. You have some vision, you have something that you want to implement, but AI is helping you like plan it out. It gives a structure, and then you validate human and validate in human fashion, so that you have a nice end to end plan ready in a very short amount of time.
Right.
So how users can provide feedback to AI, how do you design prompts, as well as AI, how to present AI outputs to foster trust and control was really important for me to learn as a product manager who's working with AI. And I
Mhm.
think I touched a little bit here on ethical and responsible innovation with AI in my first point as well. But it's nice to have, it was nice to have when it was in the nascent stage, but now it is very important.
Yeah.
So with generative AI, the risk of bias, like misinformation, misuse, all of this is amplified as we grow in adoption and we grow in scale for all of the generative AI capabilities around the industry. And product managers would be at the forefront to ensure that products are built with fairness and transparency and user safety in mind. And it is from the conception time that this consideration is introduced in the roadmap, and it's not just, oh, we launched and we built to test, like for readiness, for transparency, for safety, and now it's an afterthought. That should not happen. It should be in the forefront of the roadmap from the conception to the output till the feedback loop as well. So I think that's very important right now for any AI PM to consider. And I think the final is not just for PMs, but for any other role, engineers and designers as well. It's just to iteratively and continuously learn. I mean, everything is constantly evolving in AI. There's new user patterns emerging with AI because there's a lot of new capabilities that are coming up, such as video models with voice, for example, which I'm seeing going around a lot right now.
Mhm.
And PMs will need to foster like rapid experimentation, A/B testing, and I think feedback loops to continuously develop on that trend and pushing the boundaries of what's possible while staying like grounded and relevant with your user base. And thinking where AI can really help versus where you just improve on your current features is also important. So that continuous learning of the user patterns will also help product managers right now. And
Mhm.
any role. Continuously learning in AI is very important. Every other day I wake up, there's something new.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I think this is really important for me.
Yeah, no, I'm so glad. I'm so glad you touched on that because that was the next question. And I love how you went into detail of product managers and how that AI is just like you talked about structure. It's not the main thing. So I think people forget that. It's like, oh, well, AI is introduced. I have to upskill and I'm just overwhelmed and that's my life. It's not about taking over. Like you said, it's the human leadership, the human aspect of it, like really innovating from your heart, the heart-centered leadership, being creative, working as a team to create that first, and then using just AI to kind of be like, hey, how do I refine this, right? And how do I make it a little better? But it's not the main thing. And upscaling is so important. It's just rapidly evolving, like you said. So really understanding the trends and just like playing around with it, just practicing it, hands on. And that's how you're just taking the first step, and it's really important. So I love how you talked about that for a product manager. So basically, so storytelling, we'll look at the leadership aspect of things now. So storytelling is just becoming such an essential leadership skill. So especially when influencing executives or stakeholders, how have you used storytelling to align teams or drive a vision forward?
Absolutely. And yeah, I think storytelling is very important, like you mentioned, Reena, especially in the product management role. And it's, I think, one of the fundamental skills as a product manager, because you're not really managing a team of engineers or designers. They don't report to you. You're just overseeing like an entire product area. So when that hard lines of reporting and hard lines of decision making are not built, you really need to influence without authority. And storytelling is a great tool to do that. I think people tend to go and over index on data and complex technical details which is important to support your story, right? But a story should be where you're telling why this matters and why the product should be released is is something that should connect like vivid picture of the user journey where it highlights their pain points and then shows what are their current problems and then the proposed solution. How do you imagine and use your creativity here? How do you imagine it will solve? Once you have this hypothesis, this first structure ready, then you can go and turn into data and complex details of like how this solution can be structured and solved. When you can tell a story that makes stakeholder feel what the user feels,
Right.
you see the market opportunity clearly. It just bypasses the standard intellectual understanding and moves just beyond to a deeper level of buy-in, beyond the data and beyond the technical details, like I mentioned. I mean, for example, for example, just leave the conversion rates around 10%, right?
Yeah.
And we need to go and convert that, like, and see how that rate can be debugged and can be the conversion rates can be increased again. So this is just data that I presented to you right now.
Yeah.
But then imagine I'm telling you, like, hey, there is this is Hara, for example, like a busy mom trying to check out our app and repeatedly encountering this very frustrating bug, and that's why she's not able to check out these items for her toddler or for her baby, for example. And this kind of narrative, like when I talked about Sarah the busy mom, a lot of people who are in this situation, they go into their shoes and they're like, yeah, this is a real problem if I'm not able to check out on the app. And see how I transform the conversion rate story into an
Right.
actual real life narrative. And this
Right.
is just goes beyond data. So this kind of narrative really brings data to life and just connects all of the action that the teams should take, aligns them, gets the investment and buy-in for your feature, and ultimately build products that really matters and which are not just based on numbers but actual human experience.
Exactly. I love that. I love how you touched on the examples of Sarah, because I think what it's all about is the impact, the real life impact, and even the conversions come from your own stories, right? And how that's what we're doing right now, like really forming that connection. And oh, like, she understands me, like she understands my pain points. She really sees me. I feel seen and heard. You want to give that aspect. And as a product manager or anyone, I think that's super important. Like you talked about, it's first getting clear on your vision and what, just like really being in love with your users and doing that for them and adding value. And that's with the data, of course, makes that the most impact these days. And it's so important that you just talked about storytelling. So awesome. Yeah. Like, so for example, in your own case, so even the most accomplished leaders, when talking about storytelling, how do you handle imposter syndrome or those moments of uncertainty? Because I know that keeps coming up when I talk to a lot of, especially female executives. Like if you're leading high stakes or cutting, I know you're in the AI space, but how do you do that?
Imposter syndrome is very real, Reena. I cannot agree with you that a lot of leaders, and interestingly, especially like female leaders and female identifying leaders, bring this up a lot in conversations. And I think when you're constantly pushing your boundaries with super smart people, imposter syndrome is something that all of the high achievers experience at some point or the other. Whenever I experience it, I'm not saying that I'm completely devoid of imposter syndrome. But whenever I experience it, I tend to go back and reflect on what unique perspectives and expertise I bring to the team specifically.
Right.
So, like, I have the background of being an engineer, and transitional product management gives me a blend of that technical knowledge and user-centric thinking. So, I tend to go back to that and leverage it a little bit more of that expertise before trying to see what I like, trying to experience the entire product life cycle and just running it like a roadmap. So, I step back and see if I'm doing the right thing. Owning a specific contribution rather than just comparing myself to others on every single dimension can also hamper that thinking. So I'm just thinking about how can I own this particular roadmap end to end, and what will I do if I bring my perspective of technical as an engineer on technical perspective as well as a product perspective. So that ownership is really important. I am not the world's leading expert on any AI or ML initiatives, but I think myself an expert of translating those human needs into actionable product strategy. And that is something that I completely own in my job day in and day out to prevent any imposter syndrome from creeping in day to day. And I think I think another one which I really think about is just the growth mindset. I mean, all of us are learning and we are learning new things about AI, learning new things about the industry. And with all of the chaos that's going on in industry right now, with uncertainties, it just good to embrace that growth mindset. I mean, working with brilliant people in such an environment is of a very high privilege because it means that I'm constantly being exposed to new ideas and deeper technical insights. So I ask stupid questions, and because often those questions uncover assumptions of how I really want to reveal new avenues for exploration. So I think asking those questions and not keeping it to yourself and not just being like, oh, this is a really bad question, everyone knows this, only I am the person in this room who doesn't know this, is just harming you and not anyone else. I think if you ask those questions, there might be two other people in that room who have the same question, basically. So you want to come up and ask those questions and really like get your team together on how you understand the topic being discussed and not just trying to hide from that fact that you don't have a growth mind. So that is very important. And I think the third one is perfection is overrated.
Yeah.
So focusing on impact and contribution rather than perfection and everything is not going to help your case of imposter syndrome. So I think the goal is not to be the smartest person in the room or to be to produce the most perfect PRD sometimes. It's just to have that iterative approach. When you have a new problem, how can you impact and contribute the fastest you can, the most in the most highest quality, and not just reach for 100% perfection that yes, this is a solution that would be delivered and productionized. This is the final thing that I'm writing. It
Right.
doesn't work like that. You have to go behind it iteratively, and then the imposter syndrome will tend to like quiet down a little bit because you're not chasing perfection. It's a continuous practice. It's not easy to come for me because I chase perfection too much.
Yeah.
But this is what I'm embracing in my journey and building that confidence to push past those moments of self doubt. And that energy of like proactive learning and iteration really has contributed positively to the intelligence of the team and the environment that I live in as well. Because I've realized a lot of people struggle with this particular aspect of
Right.
imposter syndrome.
No, I love that. I love how you touched on every single thing and the challenge that people are facing because it is, right? I talked to a lot of executives and that growth mindset. I mean, they have it, but sometimes they just need that reminder. And I can relate to the perfectionism as well. I had a huge, bout of perfectionism, but then I was like, hey, I need to just take it one step at a time. Like you said, it's an iterative process. Like you just have to put yourself out there. And yeah, in the beginning, it's going to be a little uncomfortable, but that's how you grow and that's how you become stronger. And then just take messy action, go for it, and then refine it. Right. And
Exactly.
it's been happening, like you said, it's a privilege I worked with so many amazing industry experts and leaders, and that's how I grew. And I know that you're such a true leader. So you're an inspiration to everyone out there. So I'm proud of you for doing that, but being an example and sharing your insights and your story, which is great. And finally, what's one thing that you wish more women in tech understood about claiming their space and voice, right? I know there's imposter syndrome there, but just really owning their worth in this day and age.
Hmm. I think this is an interesting question because there's a lot of advice that given to women leaders, and I think there's a lot of like personality bias that women leaders face in the industry today, from my experience.
Yeah.
I think they have to understand, and I had to go and understand my unique perspectives, like I mentioned earlier, and experiences which are not just important and like good to have, but is absolutely essential for building those truly innovative and inclusive products. Without your perspective and without your thinking, those products would not even exist. And it's
Right.
that important. So thinking like that, often there's like a tendency to try and like fit in a lot of rooms, in a lot of discussions. But you have the ability and you have the thinking to really stand out, because the industry needs those diverse voices to challenge the assumption that has been carried down and pushed on us from different areas in the industry. So you can identify those like problems and design solutions that serves like a broader humanity, which people like before you did not even think about, right? And that's where you can stand out and put your perspectives forward, which will build the most important product, maybe the next
Right.
important product that does not even exist in the industry today.
Exactly.
And I think just don't not underestimating the power of your perspective is like a missing piece I see like in a lot of women leaders. And I think the last one is what I learned through my time in the industry. Like no one else is going to advocate for you. You have to advocate for yourself. And your ideas are not being too much or being rash or being rude to someone. Those are your ideas that you're trying to put forward. So seek out allies, build your network, and lift other people and other women in the field up. And together you can just really advocate for each other and build a stronger community and the representative of the world that the industry is building and this new technology is building around us. So you are not good to have, you are a must have. And that's how I think I should put this somewhere around my office.
You should. I love how you just talked about it's a must have. And yeah, just collaborating other women. You know how many people, women I've networked with, and it's been amazing. Like just we've advocated for each other, we're added value to each other. We just celebrate. And I even tell my clients and everyone else, my friends, like, hey, like let's celebrate you. And that's what this podcast is all about, is celebrating you and every leader out there, because it's not easy. And like you said, I love how you talked about just really owning your worth and your perspective, right? Like sharing stories. I know some women kind of hesitate to put themselves out there, but I just want to say to everyone, don't, make sure you really show up as your most authentic self, because people need you and your stories and perspectives and your lessons that you've learned, because it really, like she said, Akanksha, shapes the next product, the next age, right? The next generation. So thank you so much for that. Before we wrap up, so I'd love to hear what's next for you, Akanksha. What kind of impact or vision are you most excited about creating the next chapter of your career?
Absolutely. Yeah, Veena. I think e-commerce is a very new industry for me, and I'm coming from building scalable cloud products. Coming from distributed systems. So, making that impact in the e-commerce field combined with the AI technologies that we are working on is very exciting for me. We have already made like huge leaps since I've joined the team, but I'm excited to take this forward and take it to production, and you all will get to know more once the product that I'm working on releases. It's mostly focusing on the seller section of Amazon right now, and all of the sellers are dealing with a lot of issues in the catalog. So that's the focus area that I'm working on. But I am really pumped to make impact based on that user persona, because this is something very new to me, and the pace at which I am learning is exponential. So I want to continue growing in this role and take it forward to see how I can make an impact to all of the sellers across Amazon.
That's amazing. E-commerce is doing great now. It's booming. So best of luck. I just hope it, turns into something amazing for you. So so excited for you though. Yeah. So just a quick, rapid fire, just, short answers, whatever comes to mind first. So one word that captures the kind of impact you want to leave on the world.
I think it's purposeful.
Exactly. That is mine, of course. So I love how we share that. And yeah, so a book, podcast, or mentor that has shaped your thinking.
I love this podcast, How I Built This, by Guy Raz. It's like incredibly inspiring to hear the stories of all the founders and investors worldwide and the challenges they faced and how they succeeded. So I have not gone through all of the episodes. I think there are more than 700, 800 episodes at this point. But whenever I get time, I love listening to one of his episodes.
Amazing. Yeah. I mean, I listen to podcasts every weekend and just it shapes my thinking. It just, keeps me pumped up. So I love that. Yeah. And lastly, how can listeners connect with you or follow your work?
Absolutely. You can find me on LinkedIn where I regularly try to share insights and about product management with AI. I am also going to speak at Grace Hopper Conference 2025 next week in Chicago. So if any of you are attending that, please connect with me in person. Or else tune into my talk online. I will also share insights from that talk on my LinkedIn. But LinkedIn is the best platform for you to connect with me.
Amazing. I love this. No, and good luck with that Grace Hopper. I heard it's like an amazing platform. So, yeah, so excited. So many great things for you. Well, Akanksha, this was such a powerful conversation. And thank you so much for sharing your journey, your insights on AI and leadership, and your passion for building with inclusion and purpose. So, to our listeners, if this conversation inspired you, follow Voices of Impact on LinkedIn and, of course, Akanksha on LinkedIn and your favorite podcast platform. We'll continue bringing you stories and strategies from leaders who are not just adopting to the future, but they're designing it, right? So, yeah, they're designing it and adapting to it. So, until next time, stay aligned, stay authentic, and lead with impact.
Thank you so much, Meena. This was awesome.
Of course. And just look for